If you're stuck on a plateau with your weight at the moment, not seeing any progress, you might be seeing weight gain, or I might have been trying to lose weight for a while now and I've not seen progress, then today I just want to share with you some really simple tips that you can actually start to implement to help see progress with this. As cycling and weight loss, sometimes it can really get overcomplicated. And I really want to just try and simplify this for you today and give you some practical things that you can implement that we've now used with over 800 of our clients over the past 5 to 10 years, and it's allowed them to go on and lose 10 to 15 kilos while improving their FTP, their VO2 max by 10, 15, 20% with some of our clients, even more in some cases. So today I really want to share with you some things that you can implement today within your diet, with your nutrition and your fueling, which is going to allow you to start seeing progress and see progress like that as well. The first cornerstone then that we're really going to simplify today is having breakfast with purpose. This is actually just really aligning your breakfast with what you're going to be doing through that day. So whether it's your training, you're exercising, you're just going to be sitting at your desk in your office, you might be out on the road, just actually aligning what you're doing with that breakfast to what you're going to be doing in the day. Because a lot of the time I see people will not have any breakfast and then pay for that later in the day. They'll get really hungry and then start over consuming calories, start snacking a lot through the day. They might eat too much for breakfast or go for a really quite a high sugary breakfast that actually then isn't aligned with what they're doing the rest of the day because they might not be doing any exercise. So the first cornerstone here is to start with, that first meal of the day is just aligning it with what you actually have planned. So if you're not going to be really doing any exercise, then I would really advise you or encourage you to have a high protein breakfast. Okay, so just going to write pro. We'll go for it. We'll write protein. High protein breakfast is really the foundation of whether you are going to be doing exercise or you're not going to be doing exercise. Okay, so we want to anchor this in first. So really looking at sources, I won't go into too much detail on this, it could be for another video just on this topic alone, and this is what we work with our clients with to really help them identify the types of foods that work best for them within their lifestyle to achieve this. But high protein sources at breakfast might be like eggs, dairy, Greek yogurt, meats, lots of different types of high protein sources, beans. You can get different cereals if you're going to be obviously training. But really the anchor point at the start of the day is making sure that you're having some protein, good sources of protein. Now what that's going to do is going to suppress your hunger. It's going to really fulfill you, suppress your appetite. And that's great, especially on a day where you're not doing any exercise, because then you're more in control of your appetite and you won't see that snacking then come later in the day. If it's on a training day, the difference we'll then make here is we will have high protein still, but we will also have some carbohydrates with it as well. So CHO is our abbreviation for carbohydrates. We'll have some carbohydrates certainly we're going to be doing some training as well. So 100% if it's going to be a long ride, you might have some porridge, you might have some oats, you might have some muesli, granola, wholemeal bread, some fruit. It's great to really just get some carbohydrates in if it's going to be a day where you know that you're going to be doing some training, some exercise. Especially, and this goes back to just having that structure with your training as well that I've mentioned in some of my previous videos if you follow me. It's really good if you know that actually also on a particular day you're going to be doing some harder efforts on the bike. So you might be doing some threshold intervals I talk about a lot, VO2 max intervals I talk about a lot, the benefits of doing those. And the primary fuel source that I've spoken about in some of my past videos is for those systems to be able to do those rides is carbohydrate. So this is great then knowing actually, okay, we're going to be doing some of those rides today. I want to get some protein in because that's going to support the training. It's going to support recovery with the muscle from training you might have done earlier in the week. But you're also then going to be adding in some carbohydrates with that as well to actually fuel what you're doing. And then you know that, okay, if I'm not doing any exercise, I can remove the carbs, keep the protein there. If you are going to be exercising and training, you can add the carbohydrates in there with it. So it's just actually adding some purpose to your breakfast, aligning that with the day is the first foundation, which will allow you to be a lot more in control of your nutrition, but actually just give you some structure and know what you need to be doing with it depending on the day. Secondly then, and this is probably one of, if not the most important cornerstone or mistake that I see riders make, and this is fueling your rides. And it sounds really simple, but the amount of riders that I see don't fuel sufficiently on the bike and then go to then binge eat for the rest of the day after coming back from a ride because they're so hungry, in starvation mode, dehydrated, and will actually end up eating probably more, if not double the amount of calories after the ride than what they burnt on the ride. And this will be the primary cause of either a plateau in your weight, or if you're somebody at the moment who is actually feels like you're riding a lot, but you're seeing that your weight is increasing, then it probably, I would say 80-90% is down to this. Okay, so it's so important that when you're doing your rides, you are actually fueling on them. And I would say a base for anybody, whether at the moment you're just going out and you're having a handful of jelly babies, or you're just going out with one water bottle and doing a 3-hour ride, or not really having much at all, to somebody who might be actually taking a little bit on through those rides, you want to start with a minimum of 40 to 60 grams of carbohydrate per hour on all the rides that you're doing to start off with, okay? And just to really simplify this even more, just forget about the type of training that you're doing as well at the moment. So whether that's a zone 2 ride, whether it's a VO2 max, whether it's a threshold, whether it's fasted riding, non-fasted riding, tempo, sprints, just ignore all of that for the moment. If we're not actually getting this right, then none of that really matters, okay? Because if you're not fueling the training that you're doing correctly, then you're not going to really be getting as much benefit from it anyway. So at the minute, whether it's, as I say, zone 2 or you're doing some really high top end VO2 max intervals, I would advise that you're trying to have 40 to 60 grams of carbohydrate an hour. And that would also be for any really duration of ride. We'll work with a basis of 60 minutes. Okay, if you're doing a 60-minute ride, 40 to 60 grams of carbohydrates, start with that. Certainly if you're then doing a 2-3 hour ride, have that every hour. Okay, 40 to 60 grams every hour. How you achieve this, you can find what works best for you. So I have what I call the triple carb profile, which is solids, fluids, gels, and chews. Okay, so there's 3 different sources of carbohydrates that are very easily accessible, whether you want to go for homemade, your granola bars, you want to go and buy something like an energy bar, dates, dried fruit is great to get that in even on the bike itself. The easiest way to achieve this is in the fluid-based carb formula. So you can just go and get a carbohydrate powder that you put in your bottle, take with you on the bike. You can just drink that while you're doing a session. Great, especially this time of year if you're on the turbo as well, or you are still out riding. And another great thing about this is most of those carbohydrate powders or formulas out there, there's obviously thousands out there on the market now in the sports nutrition industry. Most of them actually will sit between that 40 to 60 grams of carbs within a serving per bidon or per bottle. If you don't like using those sources, you can also go for gels or chews, but I actually generally find people prefer either drinking their carbohydrates or actually eating them rather than taking on the chews and the gels, which actually are a bit more strategic if you're doing long rides, events over here in the Alps, or using those gels to just top up on time. So any foundation work, actually eating and drinking your carbs is best, okay? But just by actually implementing this and targeting, what this is going to allow you to do, 1, you're going to have more energy when you're on the bike. So the quality of the ride that you're doing is generally going to improve. Because if you've got more energy on the bike, you can actually sustain that intensity. You're probably going to enjoy your ride a lot more. If you're on your rides at the minute and feeling really flat, like you've got no energy, really struggling towards the back end, that's not really enjoyable. If you're fueled well, you're feeling good, you've got that energy there from start to finish on your ride, you're going to enjoy it a lot more as well. So actually just placing some emphasis on this is going to allow you to enjoy it. You're going to perform better. If you can perform better and the quality of that ride is also going to be better, you're going to get more from the training ride. But just going back to the main topic of this video, why this is going to help you with your weight loss is when you get off the bike, you're not going to be as ravenously hungry because you would have eaten more on the bike. You'll be in control of your appetite. You can get off the bike, have some good source of protein. I would say 20-25 grams of protein within 60 minutes of getting off the bike. That also acts as a bridge, just to say you've actually had something when you get off the bike. That protein source is going to be really good because it's going to help initiate that recovery process. When the muscle has had some damage done to it, the protein is going to be available. But what that also does is just having that protein when you get off the bike is it acts as a bridge from finishing the ride to then when you can follow up with a well-balanced meal within an hour to 2 hours of getting off the bike once you get back home or wherever you are, okay? So fuel your rides. If you're not doing this, this could be the key alone in what I'm going to share with you today, which will allow you to start seeing progress. Number 3 then, absolutely crucial, is front load your calories and your H2O, your hydration. Okay, the amount of riders, again, that I speak to, don't eat anything or only start really eating in the day at maybe 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. By the time they get to that point, they're starving hungry, appetite's out of control, and they will start eating at 3-4 o'clock and they won't stop eating until 10-11 o'clock at night, really late night snacking as well. This also applies to hydration. The amount of people that I speak to is, the first drop of water or any drink that isn't a caffeinated beverage like a coffee or a tea that people actually start drinking is at around 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon as well, or won't even have any water. So it's actually then getting to that point, body's really dehydrated. What happens when we're dehydrated? We're also in that starvation mode, survival mode, and the body's just trying to get as many calories in as it can, okay? So we want to try and flip this if you are experiencing this as well. We want to actually front load the day with calories, and in step one that I mentioned there, that's also, you can implement that straight away with some of the things I mentioned around breakfast there, okay? So already actually just prioritize a little bit more of your breakfast, aligning that breakfast with what's planned in the day. But then with that as well is actually front loading your hydration early in the day. So before you have your first cup of coffee in the morning, your double espresso, your latte, cappuccino, whatever it may be, is actually just drink a glass of water before you have it, okay? And then when you're going out, if it's into the office, take a bottle of water with you. If you're out on the road, if you're traveling, flying through an airport, you're going on the train into the city, wherever you are, you're out on the road, take a bottle of water with you and just keep sipping on that through the day so that you're staying hydrated, okay? And front load it in the morning. The more we can do with this earlier in the day allows us to, one, stay in control of our appetite, allows us to be better hydrated, which will then stop those late night snacks occurring. So when the chocolate maybe starts to come out, the sweets, the goodies in the evening, lying there on the sofa watching Netflix or the telly, kids are in bed, and then it just starts to get out of control, and those 5 to maybe even in some cases we see people will eat 500 to 1,000 calories even just later in the evening in snacks because earlier on in the day they just haven't eaten anything or hydrated properly. So it's placing that emphasis. Front load the calories. Good protein sources, as I mentioned, are a key every time. That's at breakfast time, that's at lunchtime. They're your snacks that you are having through the day. If you can get some good protein ones in there as well. And then just make sure you're drinking enough early on in the day so it's the other way around. By the time you get to 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you're still feeling quite full, you're hydrated well, and then that actually allows you then going into the evening to be a lot more in control of your appetite. If you're doing a training session or a ride, whether that be in the morning or at lunchtime in the evening, you're also going to have more energy. The worst thing that can happen as well is riders say to me, certainly coming into the winter, if they're doing their turbo trainer sessions either in the morning or in the evening, especially in the evening, is getting to that ride, having not eaten anything, being severely dehydrated, and going to turn the pedals and just feeling within the 10 minutes like the legs are empty. So it's again because one, the body's just dehydrated and there's no energy there. So this is great, one, for your weight loss, but two, to really improve that power and fitness on the bike, which is what we're all about here as well. It's about helping you lose that weight while increasing your FTP and your VO2 max and your fitness by 10, 15, 20% plus in some cases as well. Number 4 then, and this really leads on quite nicely from that last tip, is being aware or careful of invisible calories. So again, when we're looking and working with our clients, we actually do a little bit of a profile to begin with. We do a bit of a food diary, and we look at just a 7-day period, a Monday to a Sunday, and we start to just identify how within your lifestyle we can make some changes to fuel performance on the bike, but that weight loss as well. And the amount of times that we see these invisible calories just appearing through the week, and often it's things like fruit juices, it's lattes, cappuccinos, beers through the week, it's chocolate bars, chocolate through the evening, it's sweets, those really sugary snacks through the day. And all of those things can actually really add up on a specific day themselves. It might be, 3, 4, 500 calories. In some cases, we've actually seen people who are adding an extra 1,000 calories a day and not even realizing it through some of those invisible calories that I've just mentioned there. And when we actually just look at, thermodynamics, the calories in, calories out a little bit, if you imagine that to really lose weight sustainably, we want to be trying to create a deficit of around 500 calories a day. And over a week, not in every case, it also depends on the exercise, your sleep, your hydration, there's lots of different factors. And again, that's why we work with our clients on an individual basis. But if you're on a 500 calorie deficit a day, then you may see around 0.5 to a kilo a week of your weight loss. Okay, so if we just go back and imagine we're putting in about 500 to 1,000 calories a day of invisible calories, you're not realizing you're actually doing it. And at the moment you are seeing a plateau with your weight or weight gain, despite doing what you feel is quite a lot of exercise, or you think that you're paying good attention to your nutrition and your diet, then this could be why. So it's really actually, you may do this yourself, just do it for 24 hours. Just, look at what's actually what's going in, what you're having, and are there any invisible calories through your day that you might not want to cut those out completely to start off with, but can you reduce them? Are you having 2, 3, 4 lattes through the day, which are really quite highly calorific? Instead of having 3, can you just have 1? And then maybe opt for something more like a black coffee or an Americano or something like that. If you're snacking through the evening and you feel like you need to have a dessert after dinner, rather than having maybe a couple of chocolate bars or some sweets, can you go for maybe a more low calorie ice cream or ice lolly or something like that, or a lower calorie option that might be there that is still sweet, is still giving you that dessert or that sense of that, yeah, you want to have something, but can you actually just reduce those amount of calories down that you're having through some of those, what we feel are invisible calories. And just by doing that, we might actually be able to cut 250, 300, 400 calories by just removing some of these invisible calories without you really even noticing it. And just by making that one switch or one tweak within your nutrition, that is what could actually then initiate that progress or spark that progress to start to occur with that trend of weight starting to come down over a 7 to 14 day period. And I always recommend that when you are looking at your weight loss, rather than you want to track it probably daily or every other day, every 24 to 48 hours, but always look at it on a 7 to 10 day trend to see if some of these amendments that you are making, certainly if you're looking at these invisible calories, to ensure that it is actually progressing in the right direction. Number 5 then, and this is just so important when it comes to actually being able to increase your power and fitness on the bike, improve your climbing and all the things that you ride your bike and enjoy doing them for, whilst being able to sustainably lose weight at the same time. And it really is finding balance, not restriction with it. Because as I mentioned there at the start of the video, what we can see happen a lot is people will really start to restrict themselves, cut calories so aggressively. They'll do this for a 7 to 10 day period, and then it's not sustainable. They then fall off the wagon with a little bit, go back to old habits, and end up just going round and round in circles, or through the year just seeing those peaks and troughs. And by the time the new year comes around or the following spring comes around, they're almost starting from scratch again with their weight and their fitness. So it's actually really, hopefully some of those things that I've gone through there with you already today is going to help you find that balance with the days where you need to fuel, the days when you don't need to maybe fuel with as much, or actually focus a little bit more on your protein intake, the timing of when to do that. And if you do it this way and find that balance again with just good, wholesome, natural foods within your diet as well, you'll find that you don't need to restrict yourself. You'll still be able to see that that weight loss is actually happening on a weekly net trend. And at the same time, you'll be feeling really good in your training and starting to see that that progress is happening there as well. And that will then translate into you, one, on the bike feeling great. But what we see with a lot of our clients as well is they then just start to feel good off the bike as well. They start to sleep better. They start to feel better within their own clothes, within their own skin, with their body. They have more energy in the workplace. They have more energy at home with their family as well. And this is actually just through having energy, through finding that balance with their energy levels, rather than being restrictive. And because you then actually start to see progress, if you're anything like me and a lot of my clients that I work with, is when you actually start to see that you're making progress from the effort that you're putting in as well, that builds even more motivation, momentum and enjoyment with it, so you want to keep it going. So finding that balance with some of the things I've mentioned there today is also really key, and if you do it, I guarantee that you'll see progress in the areas that you want to. So there's been 5 key cornerstones there with you today, and I've taken those from really 5 to 10 years of experience working with over 800 of our clients now, helping them lose 10 to 15 kilos while increasing, as I say, FTP, VO2 max fitness by 10, 15, 20%, even more in some cases. And the experience that I've just gained there working with, busy individuals, time crunched individuals, people starting at all different places, people with all different types of lifestyles as well. And I've just taken what we've done with everybody there and simplified that for you today. And as I said at the start of the video, I hope you can now take some of those things, put those into action today, so you can really start seeing progress with that as well. And if you are somebody, by the way, who thought, Ben, this has all been great, but I'm still really confused and I'm really not sure what to do, and haven't got time to really think about all this, and you would just like some individual help with it, there'll be a link here somewhere on the video. It's probably in the description below. Just click that. You can book in for a free initial consultation with me, discovery call. We'll just have a chat. If I can help, I'll show you what that looks like, us helping with you. If I can't help, I'll always try and give you some more advice based on what I've said today, and always try and point you in the right direction with it as well. If you're new to the channel, then please subscribe. If you've liked this video today, hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next one.